We were told that we'd been surrounded, and there was one time then I remember thinking, have we bitten off more than we can chew here? You don't really want to think too much about what could happen.
You know
Yeah.
they've got your back and they'll die for you and you'll die for them, and there's nothing better than having a special forces guy with you.
Hey up, mate, how's it going?
Hey up, pal.
Good to see you.
Long time no see.
It's been a few years.
It has, Still got that money you owe me?
I did the last round.
Rounds.
Rounds, yeah, yeah. It's been 4 years since we've seen each other, isn't it?
Yeah, 4. As soon as you start getting older, life seems to go quicker, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's been annoying me recently, that.
I used to think, when I was younger, like 40, imagine being 40. And now I'm nearly 60, I'm like, God almighty, where's it gone? What made you decide to go in the military though first, Foxy?
I didn't really do very well at school. I don't know what it was. Something inside me said you got to, you're not going to get a job because you've got no qualification. You need to do something. So that was it, really. I went down the careers office and
what year is this then?
91, 92.
Wow.
So my dad, he'd been in the Marines, but like he left when I was 1, so I don't remember any of that. Yeah. And so I suppose that was the sort of drive to go that way.
I just always wanted to be in the military.
Did you?
My mother said from 3 years old, I was just fascinated with soldiers. And this is going back, 1960s. I can even remember the 60s. I was born in 64, because my dad, he was originally from Jamaica.
Yeah.
And my mom, she's white, she's from Stoke. So we actually moved into an area which was the largest council estate in Great Britain and in Europe at the time. Not just going down that race car, but it was a tough upbringing, you know what I mean?
What, for being mixed race?
Yeah, but well, just being unusual. People on the street put in a complaint, they just put in a petition, they didn't want us moving in there. But I tell you what, that just made me more resilient.
Yeah.
One time I was getting chased down by kids, and my dad, he made me go out and fight him. He goes, otherwise you're going to have this, starts taking his leather belt off.
Yeah.
And I was more worried about that. And so, 16 years old, 2 weeks after leaving school, and I was straight in the military, and I loved it.
I personally did 10 years in the Marines, just shy of 10 years, before I then put in for selection. And it got to the point where I was like, then for the conventional forces, the 90s were a bit neither here nor there. It was like you had a bit of Northern Ireland, there was some Balkan stuff. I didn't get involved in any of that, and I was like, I'm training to be a soldier all the time, and I'm not. I want to up, I want to up what I'm doing. And I got to the point where I was nearly sort of a bit bored, and I thought, well, I'm either going to leave, or if I'm not going to leave, I need to do something else. So I might as well put in for selection. Yeah. So I put in for selection. That was in 2001. So then obviously
9/11.
Same time as 9/11. I was on selection when everything started to ramp up, and then passed, and then obviously,
so you were at the ground running, didn't you? Because that was a busy era, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I did mine. Mine was the first ever SAS SBS joint selection, because before,
that was mid-90s,
wasn't it? January 94.
Yeah.
Because before the Marines did their own fitness, didn't they? And then we all meet up in the jungle. So mine was the very first one.
How big was your selection course?
Just about 200 or just over 200. I thought to myself, looking at some of these guys, some of them man mountains, oh God almighty, they could walk with an house on their back forever. I thought, I'm not going to be fit enough for this. I'm not big enough. And then I was listening to these officers talk, and they were talking about, I was lying on the bottom bunk, and they were talking about which university they went and all that. And they were coming out with big, long words. I'm like, what's that word even mean? I thought, I'm not going to be intelligent enough for this. I thought, I nearly
and that was only the word "the."
Yeah. I nearly phased myself out before we even started. I thought, God.
Oh, mate,
it's amazing, isn't it, how when you, after just a couple of the marches, then you realise they start moving rooms, and you think, wow, we're suddenly going down in numbers, and you're still here, isn't it?
Yeah, I was the same. Even though I was from the Marines background, so theoretically that's like good, as far as people are concerned. But I turned up, I was 24.
Did you know a lot of people who had been there?
I knew a few people who'd done it. I knew a couple of people that had passed. But I didn't know. I turned up and there was like our course was big. It was like a big course. It was like 350 we had on ours.
Wow.
They went through a phase of having like big, like overloading the courses. Yeah. I was quite good at. I used to be good at running. It's not the case anymore. But I was quite skinny, like a bit of a skinny dweeb.
I've seen some of the photos of you in your old.
I know. Yeah, so I was just a skinny, and I looked way younger than I was. I was, and I was like, fuck. I was like, there was like some proper units, and I'm like.
Did you find yourself? You can phase yourself out, can't you?
Yeah, you can. You're like, I don't know about this, and then, like you said, you get. It's at the end of the first. To be fair, after the first week, you come back in on the Monday, having done the fan on whatever, and I was like, no, there's loads of people who've gone out of our room.
Yeah.
It was miserable as well. We did a winter one.
I did a winter one as well.
It's like your alarm clock goes off, doesn't it, at 5 in the morning or whenever. It's dark outside, you can hear the rain lashing, you're like, oh.
And you don't have to get on that 4-tonner. Oh. You're getting on the back of that truck.
Because I was a Marine, I had to go for a shower first.
Oh, yeah, as you do. What is that with you Marines?
I had towel on and flip-flops and it was raining. You're like, we've gone out and, yeah.
Yeah, Marines seem to have about 4 or 5 showers a day. I can't believe it.
Yeah. We're clean, mate, we're clean.
Oh, okay.
I didn't give myself an out. I did it at a time when I had no other real distractions. I knew that if I failed, I was going to have to go outside, and I didn't know what I didn't have any qualifications, so I was like, right, I was like a rat with his back to the wall. I'm like that, right, I could.
What do you mean go outside if you failed?
I'd probably left the military.
Would you?
I think so.
Why? Because you thought because you failed
I don't know.
There's no big hardship, is it? A lot of people fail it.
Yeah, but I had just had it in my mind. I was like, well, if I fail, I'll probably go outside. I don't know why I just sold myself that, but I did. And I just backed myself into a corner. So I was like, right, that's it. The only way out is that way, and I've got to keep going. I think a lot of it was just making sure that, because you've got to go on it. With the right intentions, because there's so many guys.
Mindset, haven't you?
Yeah, understanding that it's going to be brutal. Because quite frankly, everyone thinks the job's cool and you get to do cool stuff, and it's fucking hard work.
It is. It's very hard work. I remember then at the end of selection, at the Hills phase, you think that's it, don't you? You think, wow, that everybody seems to think it's the fitness. But that's just a part of it, isn't it? And then looking around, I'm like, wow, there's not that many people left. And then I think there was about 40 odd after 200, and we ended up going to the jungle. How did you find that phase?
Yeah, I remember. So, you finished the hills, didn't you? And you're like, yeah,
you feel
I've
great.
passed. I thought, hang on a minute, we're only.
They don't even know your name, do they? They don't even know you.
And then you sort of like get ready for the next phase. And I remember thinking, I've looked around and we've gone from 350 to about, I'm guessing like 60.
Yeah.
So there's like unbelievable amounts of people had gone. You get out there and you're all, I was excited. I was like, this is it. This is the bit that you've been waiting for. The bit is also, you're nervous though, aren't you? Because this is.
Had you been in the jungle before? Or done a jungle?
I've been to the jungle before, yeah. So I knew what it was about, but I still not like. Yeah. It's on another level, and you fly into the trees, and I remember even though I've been before, you land on that LS, and as you walk under the canopy, the everything just goes boom, like the humidity and the noise, and you're like oh my god, and you got a house on your back, full of like 10-day rations, ammunition. You're like, it was mad.
And everything wants to sting you, bite you, stab you. This is nasty, isn't it?
We got dragged into our location, and they put you you get split into patrols, didn't you? And I think there was a group of 5 of us, and they were good lads actually, really good lads. I think we all passed nearly, and your DS, so you're directing stuff, and he's like, right, you're them trees, and them trees. And I remember I got given a set of trees that were pretty all right, it's like clear. And one of the other lads got given this, there was just like a big pile of dead wood around where his trees, and we were like, that looks like a hive of scorpions and snakes. And he was like proper depressed. We were just looking at him laughing.
I honestly felt the interrogation and that part of selection the hardest, because to me, you push to your physical limits. Yes, unfortunately, sometimes people get injured and even have died in the past. Yeah. But it's getting pushed to the mental limits, and you can't train your brain to do that. I mean, and then when you're that tired, and there's an interrogator interrogating you, and I remember looking at him and hallucinating his head was turning into Mickey Mouse. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Because you're that confused.
What did it feel like to pass, like finish selection?
Oh God, it's amazing, and I still say it's one of the best days of my life. You know, you've done it. It's. But
you feel on top of the world, didn't you? You think you're indestructible. I know. I genuinely did. I knew I wasn't, but I did generally be like, this is awesome. Because I remember you come down, because you pass and you're like, this is awesome. Then you join your squadron, didn't you?
Yeah. You look
and all of a sudden, because you think that you're the dog's bollocks, yeah. And then you join and you're like, oh fuck. There's all these like proper hardened vets that have been doing it years, and there's a lot of pressure as well, isn't there? Because it's like, don't fuck up. Yeah. If you fuck up, you're out. And
well, as you know, you only remembered for your last fuck up, aren't you?
Yeah.
In any of the special forces, that's it. But as we were saying, the equivalent of SBS and SAS is it's the same, really.
Yeah. Same course now to get in. You can. I mean, I went pool SBS because I'd been in the Marines, and that was like sort of the way they went. Although there is a lot of, there's still Marines that go to Hereford and vice versa now. It's very much. Yeah.
However,
all mixed up. As
you know, the old saying is, the SBS go underwater and the SAS walk on water. No, there's always been that little banter between us.
There's always been a bit of banter.
They are the SAS, we are the SBS. There's always a little friendly rivalry. The blokes are the blokes.
We just work a bit harder, I think.
And you have more showers and you look good. You've got to, if you look at a typical SBS guy compared to an SAS guy, SAS guys are generally more scruffy than the SPs have got to have like gelled hair or
hair in general.
Or hair in general. But what difference do you see?
I don't see any really, to be honest. The lads are the same. You do the same course. There's a bit of rivalry. There's a lot of banter, which is always good. I spent a lot of time there, courses and what have you, in the opposite. Opposite camp.
What I found though was when I finished, there was out of 200, or just over 200, there was only 10 of us left. There was 6 SAS and 4 SBS. And over the time, the lads, over them 12 years, I hardly ever saw our lads because we're all in different squadrons, everyone's doing different things. And same with the SB lads. I saw, we meet up and we do quite a lot of training together, don't we? Especially on the counter-terrorism team. So you see them just now and again. The American equivalent is like Delta and say SEAL Team 6 and stuff like that, with it.
Same thing, exactly. But ours is more combined, I think, which is a good thing, because we work together.
Yeah, because we're a smaller unit as well, aren't we, combined? And
smaller units, less money.
Jack of all trades, master of none. And that's what got me when I got to the squad. 1 minute, you're in the hottest place in the world doing a desert training, and then you come back 2 weeks later, I'm in Norway, and you're jumping in, parachuting into ice cold, so you've gone from plus 50 to minus 30. Oh, God. And Norway, my environments, I don't mind the desert, I don't mind the jungle, the bush, but give me the Arctic. I hate the Arctic. Some people like it, don't they?
I don't mind it. I like all of them. I think I prefer the jungle the most. That's the thing that I loved about being in the Special Forces, was just how busy you were. Not just training, but operations. I was fortunate enough to be in a very busy period. I think, we both were.
After 9/11, it just went mad.
After that 9/11, that's when I think we all started working together a lot more. We'd take over from you guys, you'd take over from us, depending on where we were. And I found it's like mega exciting, it's mega busy, but there are periods, because you're away for a long time. I remember my first trip away was nearly 9 months. I remember there's periods where you're like, fucking hell, this is like, we need to go and do something. And then when it happens, it's like, fucking hang on a minute, this is hectic. It's like guns going off and all sorts. It's like...
People say, are you ever frightened? You're just frightened of messing up, aren't you? That's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
But being on that helicopter, and that you're getting dropped off and it's just you, but you feel, because you're a band of brothers, you feel invincible, don't you? You
Yeah.
think, right, our little unit, doesn't matter. You're a small fish in a massive pond, but we can take on the world. You've got that feeling, haven't you?
That was the thing with, like, I remember, that's what I loved about going away the most, is being with the lads.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I loved all of them, like obviously there are some that I was close to, but you don't like everyone, do you?
No, that's...
But I absolutely knew, like, because of the guys who they are, you can count on them regardless.
Yeah,
and I think that's probably the only thing that I missed when I left, was actually being able to go away with a group of people who were fucking professional. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know they've got your back no matter what.
Yeah.
And like you said, you might not be best mates. You don't go out. You might not even particularly like the guy going out for a drink, but you know, they've got your back, and they'll die for you, and you'll die for them. And there's nothing better than having a special forces guy with you.
Like, you look at the guys that make good soldiers. They're just the guys that are, like, their attention to detail and their ability to do basic stuff.
It's getting the
like,
small things
really
right,
well.
isn't it? Getting, as you said, getting the basic soldiering and doing it properly. And on operations, I remember going on a job and the boss come in and he says, right, you lads, he goes, some of you won't be here most probably after you come back from this. And I'm thinking, well, that's good, isn't it? That's the way you start. I mean, I'm looking around.
The Grim
there's a good
Reaper's
chance
turned
some of you guys are not going to be here. But then you're like, right, yeah, I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to be here, I'm coming back. And fast to bang, 48 hours, and watching sort of match of the day, and then just going down Tesco, and then other jobs you've gone on, they go on for a long, long time. Like you're operational, you're in an environment for 6 months, and it's like not one job, it's 2 jobs a day sometimes, 3 jobs a day.
There was one job I went on where it was towards the end of my career, where we ended up getting into we were a long way from like any friendly forces, and we got into a proper scrap, and we were told that we'd been surrounded, and there was one time then I remember thinking, fucking, have we bitten off more than we can chew here? Like, and we ended up having a decent set of pilots that came and picked us up out of an absolute shit show, and I think that was probably one of the only times I ever really remember being like, we're fucking hell, I don't know about this. And then I think it was at the end of one of them, we went on that last job, you know, the one that you're like talking about, where you're like, what do we need? And we got whacked by an IED on the walk out. We'd done it, we'd finished. It was all pretty quiet. We got hit. No one got injured miraculously. It was just like a bit of like fucking people on their asses and that coming back off that job. I'm walking down the high street, like shopping with my missus and kid, like thinking, hang on a minute. I remember having a bit of a moment where I was like, what the fuck is this all about? Not for any bad reason, but just being like, this time yesterday, we hadn't even been on the ground. We were back at one of the bases, and it was one of the bigger bases in theatre, and it was at night. We at the time, it was early on in the campaign, so we only had like shitty tents to live in, and we ended up having a rocket attack, so the old sirens go off and you could hear boom, so everyone's sort of like looking for somewhere to go, and one of the lads gets into, remember the metal Y20 boxes, or the kit boxes that you used to have? There was an empty one that we were using as a table. He just climbed into that. We're like, what are you doing? That's going to do fuck all for your safety. He's like, looked at us all embarrassed.
The lads just always take the mickey, don't they, no matter what. You'll remember, say, if I died or somebody, one of you, you'll still look back and just have a laugh about when the things you did and the bollocks you dropped, or just the
I still tell funny stories. I still tell funny stories about some of the lads that are dead now, because they were funny. Most of them are funny lads, aren't they?
And it keeps their memory going as well, doesn't it? But you know, that's the grim side of it. But it's like it says, when you're in, you don't really have time to sort of grieve, do you? As much, you don't think about it. But I found once
because you're still doing the job as well. I think you don't really want to think too much about what could happen. No, because maybe.
But I must admit, sometimes when you're doing the burials, I wonder what it would look like for my family. You know, if I was in that coffin and you've got the Union flag on and stuff. But hey, that's all part of it, isn't it? That's life.
Yeah, you got to sort of.
Yeah, you got to celebrate it while you're here.
Yeah, had a few sad times. That's the other thing I liked about our two. You know, if someone died from up your way, we'd come up for the funeral. Yeah. And then vice versa, especially if you knew them anyway. You might have been on course or something. That was always I enjoyed that. I didn't enjoy it, I liked it. I liked the fact that we could, tip our hats to each other. The thing that I used to love about going away, you know, when you're on ops and you go away for a long period of time, is like the banter is. It is brutal. It's brutal but good, yeah. There's always people watching every move that everyone's making, so they can just literally jump on you and just give you shit.
And if you've done something, the first thing you do is look around, make sure, does anybody see me?
We used to have, like, you'd have different ways of punishing people, and I remember, I don't know if you'd have heard, you might have done actually, but the old, because obviously, you know, lying to the lads is a big, like, integrity shouts and all that. And we used to have this sort of thing that, you say you'd be telling a story, you're telling a story, and one of the lads was like, that didn't fucking happen. You're like, no, it did, and they're like, eyebrows it. So if I said, I eyebrows it, that's true. If they found out that I'd lied, I'd have to shave my eyebrows off. But then it would go on from there, because then you could do like, okay, Robocop it. So then if I Robocopped it and they found out I'd lied, I'd have to shave like that front half of my head. And it was all just stupid little things like that, but it sort of keeps you on your toes. And there's like everyone's eyebrows something that was a lie, and you're like, what if someone finds out? You know, like, you know, when you're out on the ground and that, and like, because people talk about fear and anger and all that. How do you reckon you sort of like dealt with those emotions? I know how I did it, but I know people keep saying to me, you must have been angry when you were in a gunfight, or you must have been scared. And I'm like, well, yeah, scared I probably was, but you fucking deal with it in a certain way. But don't ever remember being angry.
You can't lose it, because if you go angry, you've lost it.
There's a saying, isn't there? I don't know if I remember it, which is, do not rush into your own death. You got to think about your next move, and being angry is just such a counterproductive emotion. I always remember that from my time in the military. I remember getting into trouble when I was actually a lot younger as well, just from being, you know, angry and what have you. And I sort of like, I took away the lessons I'd learned in the military as to like recognising the emotion. Do you know what I mean? I get scared and I'm like fucking I get scared of heights. I'm like fucking scared of heights. So whenever we did that whole...
Oh, I don't like heights.
No, whenever we were like abseiling off the top of a building or jumping out of you know, like free falling or whatever, I'd always be like, right, fucking I could feel myself getting like... And I just wouldn't talk to anyone, I'd just stay quiet, but I'd just basically make it switch me on and focus me onto what I'm supposed to be doing. So I was like, you know, in what I'm supposed to be doing, don't let the fear take hold of you, but just concentrate on what you're supposed to do. You've got to
get in that moment, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like heights. Well, I still don't. So there's nothing. People say to me, I bet you love jumping out of a plane and all that. I'm like, no, you have to pay me. I only do it for your job. And that, that high altitude eye opening, where you're up in the air for about 30 minutes.
Mate, it's fucking horrible.
Oh God, I used to rate that, because you're jumping about 5 kilometres up in the air, aren't you? And you open the chute straight away. People say, that must be good. I'm like, no, it's minus 20 degrees, and you're trying to navigate.
Fucking freezing as well.
Freezing, everything's... you're going through clouds, you can't see that. You're travelling sometimes about 180 kilometres an hour, and we all pass each other through the clouds, and you're like, God almighty. I remember one time, though, they got the little red silo at the front and a green one at the back. So at night time, you're following these green silooms. But I remember,
glow sticks.
And I remember just like, it's pitch black, I'm up in the air. Next minute, I just see red. I'm like, are we on the range? I thought there was tracer coming by us. Yeah. And this was a training job. I'm like, what's that red? And then realise it's blokes. It's
glow sticks, glow stick.
So that was the front of them. We all crisscrossing each other. And you're like, I'm going in 180 Ks, he's going in 180 Ks.
Mate, it's mad,
easily hit each other. What made you decide to get out, or did you do your full career?
Yeah, I did 20 years, but I got medically discharged. I got diagnosed with PTSD. So I think it's weird, because I'm always, like, people always say, you obviously got PTSD because of all the stressful things that you did in the Special Forces. And I'm like, yeah, they were stressful, they were a bit of a catalyst, but I think it's because I wasn't managing coming home so well. I didn't have, I wasn't balancing it out properly. I didn't have a strong home unit, and I think I was probably the reason it wasn't strong, because I loved work. I was always up for going out. So anyway, because of that not balancing it out, not having a strong sort of unit to come back to. I just, everything got on top of me, and I ended up leaving. Sort of got medically discharged, and just felt I was in a pretty low place for about 18 months, 2 years.
It's a long time.
Yeah, and then obviously there's a bit of a journey coming out of it, but yeah, it was a bitter pill to swallow. I was a bit gutted at first. I wasn't ready to leave, that was for sure, even though theoretically I only had like 2 years left to run. But it just felt like I'd shortchanged myself. Felt like I'd sort of, at the time, I felt like I'd fucking failed at something, just because my mind had obviously, just had enough at that moment in time.
Just coming out of it, you can understand how it hits people. Well, I was lucky in a way, because I sort of gradually came out, because when I left, I went working with other SAS guys and all that XD squadron as well, so you're still armed and everything, but looking after the news. And then I ended up further on.
So did you put your notice in, or did you just?
I did my full time, and then I was going to stay on longer. And then at the end I thought, well, I've done my full time now, and what I didn't want is, I used to see the guys who was just hanging in there still, they won't leave it, let it go. And I used to think, right, let it go, Grandad, because you're not operational now. You support, and don't get me wrong, it's great being still, part of it, especially if you live down in the area and you won't carry that on. I don't knock the guys, but I always remember when I first joined, I used to think, right, the older guys now who aren't operational, I'd just go. And I didn't want to be that old guy, so I thought, right, I'm going now. And then I ended up carrying on working with blokes straight away, so you was armed, so you sort of got out lightly, and then I ended up training special forces around the world. So I'd always have a weapon in my hand, so it was a gradual come down, and obviously you weren't operational then, but you still basically
the same sort of environment, isn't it?
And you're working with like-minded people still, from the regiment and from other special forces units. I can't imagine you like flash to bang, you 1 minute you're in such an intense job, and then you're out.
I think I didn't handle it well either, because obviously, because of why I got medically discharged, I was embarrassed, and I just scurried away. I didn't speak to any of the lads to begin with. I was like, because I was like scared about what they thought, and I wasn't being honest with myself about what was actually going on. I kept trying to fucking brush it to one side and not really think about it, so it was just spiraling me out of control more and more. And it was only when it came to a real pinch point, when I was like in probably my lowest place, where I was like, fucking hell, what am I doing? And then I suddenly realised that I need to be honest with myself, that I've got something that needs sorting out. And then I thought, right, I need to start talking to people as well. So I went on a journey of talking, and also reconnecting with my mates, because I'd pushed them to one. I hadn't pushed them to one side. I'd just hidden. And actually, when I started talking to them and being, open and being honest with them as well as me, I started to feel better. I was like, fucking hell, all this time I've been doing stuff that's bad for me, as in, just exactly. And then got back into it and went on this journey, and was basically just, I felt like I was being vulnerable. I suppose I was, but I ended up feeling stronger for it. So I could have, even though I left medically discharged, I could have still weaned myself off by still, seeing the lads and maybe getting a few jobs with whoever, but I just didn't to begin with. So it made that flash to bang even more, sort of like intense,
The thing is, like you said, you hit the nail on the head, but it's that stigma. As soon as somebody mentions mental health, especially back, it's getting better now, a lot better. But it was just, people just didn't talk about it, did they? And they don't like talking about it. But then you look back and how many people have actually, committed suicide and stuff like that. And guys, I remember looking at this one photograph, and it's like, wow, he's committed suicide, he committed suicide. And the least, the people you think is, why?
But I think when you're at that I mean, I was close to it. I was like, I was in a point where I was nearly going to do it, and you don't think you're being selfish. You think that you're being a hindrance to everyone else, and you think that the way you are is just being detrimental. So you're not. Everyone says, "Oh, it's a selfish thing." It's not. It's just you're such a low point that you think that you are negative for everyone else, and it's just you believe that it's going to be easy for everyone, and obviously it's not. I think the other thing with that stigma you were saying is like, when I started talking to the lads, the one group you're worried about, when I started talking to them, they were like,
They're the best
no,
group.
yeah, they were fine. They were like, so it's like, hang on a minute, there is no stigma, but I think the point is like, the stigma is in the individual's head. We create our own stigmas. You know, whenever we're always like,
you wonder what people are thinking.
Yeah, you're like, fuck.
And I wonder what they're going to say now about me and this and your own peer group and that and your...
The trick is trying to get the stigma removed from the person's head. I think society's probably fine. We're always talking about it. We're talking about it now.
Now it is.
Half the battle is like admitting it and saying, yeah, there's something going on. What's going on? Why do I feel like this? And the minute you start doing that, you'll be, if you actually look into it, you'll probably be like, oh yeah, it's fucking hell. Maybe it's because of this. I mean, I remember because people kept asking me, oh, when did you get PTSD? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, what stressful thing happened that gave you PTSD? I'm like, there's fucking loads of them. What are you on about? And I ended up, it used to piss me off when I got that question. But then a few years on, when I sort of like realised, actually, when, you know, it obviously started somewhere. So I ended up drawing some lines of that represented things that happened in my life, like my life, career courses, like you know, all those things, and operational deployments, and then like meeting my missus, getting married, having a kid's ill, car breaks down, washing machine's broken down, and it's like all of a sudden I was like, where there was the thickest amount of lines, where it all was happening at the same sort of time, I was like, that's probably when I fucking should have been paying myself just a little bit more attention, and I didn't. I was fucking running away from shit. So I think that was my main lesson from having gone through it, was just like fucking pay attention to myself a bit more.
Yeah, people have got to look after the mental health as well as their the physical health, and like you said, just getting out and just chatting about it. As soon as you've talked, you've let it off your chest, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've opened up and you've helped yourself, and not only that, you've helped others.
It's definitely that talking. Like this has been good. This has been awesome. We've fucking known each other a bit, and
this is
we still didn't know half the shit you've spoken about, because we never really. You don't do it, do you? Just like we're doing other things, and we'll meet up and
never just have a normal chat like this, do you?
No.
It's always taking a piss and banter. We still have that, but you know what I mean?
Or we're pissed.
Yeah. You can't remember what you said. We are strange blokes. My wife goes, "You're
Speak
strange."
for yourself.
No, but she knows.
No, I'm not.
She can tell. She knows anybody who's special forces or not just ex-military. She can tell if there was ex-special forces, because just the way I go, how can you tell? It's because you just are. You're just different. Oddballs, but in a good way.
But it's like, I'm glad that we've caught up. It's been good.
It's been great, mate.
Decent, mate.
Don't leave it this long.
No, yeah. Time flies when you get old, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You should know, you're older than me.
You know, we were attacked by an overwhelming number of bad guys, and they had nothing but small arms and RPGs, and we had jets with bombs. And we kept dropping bombs, and they just kept coming.